What's good, jet setters? One of the juiciest aspects of the music industry is the drama. It's like a never-ending TV show, but with catchy bars and auto-tunes, and maybe a few fists here and there. And when it comes to feuds between music artists, best believe it's a serious matter. It's like a clash of the titans, but instead of Greek gods, you have some of the most talented people squabbling over the internet for the pettiest reasons. Sometimes this could spell the end of their careers, but for some artists, they manage to stay relevant after publicly falling out with their colleagues. When it comes to discussing music beef, who better to turn to than the legend himself, the one and only 50 Cent. With years of experience in the music industry, 50 Cent has encountered his fair share of beef, and almost all of it was super public. You can literally say 50 has had more feuds than a Kardashian has Instagram followers, and you'd be correct. My man has had more beef than a burger joint. He's had beef for literally everybody, including some of the biggest names in the industry, including Rick Ross, Kanye West, and Lil Wayne. They are so numerous that it's hard to keep track of all of them. You know what they say, where there's smoke, there's fire. And in 50's case, he's probably one hot grill. This guy has faced some seriously intense conflicts that will make anyone's career and hard work go up in smoke. But you know what's wild? There are some rappers out there that have had beef with 50 Cent and their careers have still managed to stay afloat, no problem. It's pretty crazy when you think about it. In this video, we'll look at the rappers whose careers survived beef with 50 Cent. Let's get started. First on our list is French Montana. Now, French and 50's beef go way back to the late 2000s. And even though they never got physical or violent with each other, the tension was obviously there. Their feud was mostly a war of words, and we all know 50 an expert in that area. But how exactly did their tense relationship start? One thing about 50 Cent is, according to him, hanging out with somebody he is on bad terms with is the highest form of disloyalty, and he has had beef with many people for this very reason, French Montana being one of them. At the time, French and Rick Ross, who 50 had beef with, were somewhat tight, and this did not sit well with 50 Cent at all. The tension became even more obvious when the two had a petty argument over a Bugatti, and on another occasion, 50 accused French Montana of faking streams to raise his status in hip-hop. After that moment, the two rappers had beef that lasted years. In 2021, however, French Montana extended an olive branch to 50, and surprisingly, it was well received. Since then, the two have only had good things to say about each other. Finally, it looks like they have fully buried the ghost of the past and are moving on as brothers. Now, the beef between 50 Cent and Fat Joe was a classic case of the friend of my enemy is my enemy. It all started when Joe and Ja Rule, 50 Cent's mortal enemy, collaborated on the song New York, which was a hit in 2004. For some reason, 50 Cent took this very personally, so he fired back at Joe in the song Piggy Bank, which he released the following year. As expected, Joe retaliated with another track called F50. Although it was later changed to My Fofo, the bullets had already been fired and he was obviously taking a jab at 50. Their beef continued for several years up until 2012 after the passing of Chris Lighty. Chris Lighty managed both 50 Cent and Fat Joe at different points in their careers, so the loss they were both suffering at the time reminded them of the things they had in common. In honor of their dead manager, the two decided to call a truce, and they even performed together at the 2012 BET Awards. The following year, Fat Joe admitted in an interview that the feud between him and 50 Cent was pushed by competition in the music industry, and that it went on longer than it should have. Their truce is still intact to this day, and they finally risen above the rivalry in the music industry. At least something good came out of Chris Lighty's passing. The feud between 50 Cent and Rick Ross happened in two stages. First, Rick Ross was rolling with Fat Joe despite 50 Cent's warnings because of his ties to his mortal enemy, Ja Rule. Apart from being the friend of his enemy, 50's main issue with Ross didn't start until Ross clearly crossed the line. In 2008, 50 Cent's Long Island home was destroyed in a fire, and this caused his baby mama Shanika Tompkins and her son to move out. Rick Ross made fun of the situation in his 2008 track, Mafia Music, saying, "I love to pay your bills, can't wait to pay your rent. Curtis Jackson baby mama, I ain't asking for a cent. Burn the house down, N-word, you gotta buy another. Don't forget the gas can, jealous, stupid mother." After hearing the track, 50 Cent got pissed. However, he didn't go throwing his fist in Ross' face. Instead, he took his time planning a befitting payback. A few days later, 50 Cent released a track called Officer Ricky, making fun of Ross in his previous job as a correction officer. He also had an interview with Rick Ross's ex, Tia Kemp, which he posted on his website, and he took her on a shopping spree on 5th Avenue. The relationship between the two rappers continued to go downhill from that point, and 50 proved that he was the king of comebacks. Lil Wayne and 50 Cent have an amicable relationship, but it wasn't always like that. Between 2006 and 2010, there was some bad blood between the two. However, the reason for their beef is still unclear. What was clear though was that 50 Cent never passed up an opportunity to say nasty things about Lil Wayne during his rise to the top. In the 2007 interview, 50 Cent was asked why he thinks Lil Wayne gets featured on a lot of songs, and in response, 50 Cent said, "You know what sleeps with whoever will pay him, so we gotta call him a you know what if he'll just go with whoever pays him to be on their records." As if that was not enough, 50 put out a track called Part-Time Lover, where he insinuated that there was a romantic relationship between Birdman and Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne never publicly responded to any of 50 Cent's comments about him. And even when Wayne was asked about it in interviews, Wayne always found a way to evade the question. However, Wayne did put out a couple of tracks where he dissed 50. And of course, y'all know 50 put out some diss tracks of his own. This was the dynamic of their relationship for a couple of years, until the beef suddenly died down. In fact, in 2014, Wayne brought out 50 Cent and G-Unit to perform on tour. Kanye West is yet another rapper that 50 Cent has managed to start beef with. The 2007 clash between the two rappers was more than just a publicity stunt. It was way deeper than that. Yeezy and 50 decided to put out an album that same year and on the same day. And 50 Cent was so confident that he could beat Kanye in terms of numbers. He was so confident that he was willing to put his career on the line. 50 said, "If Kanye West sells more records than 50 Cent on September 11th, I'll no longer write music. I'll write music and work with my other artists, but I won't put out any more solo albums." Just as Rolling Stone magazine put it, it was the clash of the titans of rap. But at the end of the first week, after they released their albums, it was clear who the bigger rap titan was. Kanye sold almost 300,000 units more than 50 Cent, and this must have hurt his ego so severely. 50 Cent's promise to never release albums was not materialized, and although the two rappers claimed that there was no negative energy between them two, it was definitely more than just a stunt. Most importantly, the fact that it was a one-sided rivalry was quite painful to watch, to be honest. Diddy and 50's relationship is a classic example of how enemies can become best friends. The two rappers had a terrible relationship in 2007 and always had nasty things to say about each other. Their feud began when 50 talked about extorting Diddy on his single, How to Rob. When he said that he would snatch Kim from Puff, their feud went to new heights. When 50 said Diddy was sucking up to Notorious B.I.G. because of the money he would get from it, these are just some of the nasty stuff 50 said about Diddy, and Diddy also had a lot to say about 50. He once said 50 had bad breath, called him ashy and a sucker, and finally he called him a hating a crab. This is just a summary of the petty beef that existed between the two back in the day, but now they are on good terms. 50 admitted in an interview one time that he and Diddy are really good friends. He said they talk over the phone from time to time, and they seem to be engaging in a few friendly banters on social media. At the beginning of 50 Cent's rap career, there was a brief moment of tension between him and Jay-Z thanks to the controversial track he put out. In 1999, 50 Cent released the track, How to Rob, and everybody was swarmed by how controversial and offensive the track was. 50 Cent was a new rapper, and he was already dissing some of the already established rappers of that time, like Will Smith, Master P, Lil Kim, Mace, DMX, Big Pun, Slick Rick, Diddy, and Jay-Z. Some of these rappers got offended and retaliated. However, Jay-Z was familiar with the game. He knew that the newbie needed the controversy to increase his fame, so he decided not to give 50 the satisfaction and advantage he was looking for. A few months later, the two met at Hot 97's annual Summer Jam Festival, and Jay told 50 he was impressed by his track record. From then on, they bonded and started engaging in little roasts from time to time, but it's all fun and games with no bad blood. Another artist 50 had beef with was the rap group The Lox, or more accurately, Jadakiss, one of the group's members. Their beef was similar to the situation with Fat Joe, because 50 Cent was pissed that Kiss also appeared on Ja Rule's New York track. However, Kiss managed to handle the situation by flipping the script on 50 better than Ja or Joe did. On the 2005 track, Checkmate, Kiss mentioned that he might not beat 50 in terms of charts and numbers, but when it comes to talent, he's not inferior in any way, and that was all that mattered. He also condemned the 50's way of glorifying the fact that he was shot. After the track was released, 50 reached out to Kiss and gave him a song to work on, and the rest they say is history. Wow, can you believe these rappers out here beefing with 50 Cent and still coming out alive? That's some serious boldness right there. But you know what else is even crazier? The fact that I got a songwriting service on Fiverr.com. That's right, you can have a hot song without even writing a single lyric. How cool is that? Check it out down below in my description. Peace.